Welcome back to the Legal View. I'm Ashley Banfield. That's some pretty big excitement that's building for the start of college football season. I know there's a lot of fans out there, but there's one college freshman fresh out of the Marine Corps who is ready to take the field at Middle Tennessee State this season, but no, he's been sidelined by the NCAA, and it's all over some recreational games that he played while he was on base. Bleacher Report's Andy Scholes joins me now. So fill me in on this exactly. I was unaware that if you just kind of play a couple of games with a bunch of guys wearing matching T-shirts and you get a coach, that this is actually a problem if you want a football career, at least in college.
Yeah, so apparently it is a problem, and it could cost you playing college football. And, you know, Rhodes, he was playing for fun in a Marine recreational football league. Now, the league, it was very unorganized. Sometimes they would even go 6 weeks without a game. But they did have refs, uniforms, and a scorekeeper. And that's why the NCAA says he has to sit out this season. According to NCAA bylaws, student athletes that do not enroll in college within a year of graduating high school will be charged 1 year of collegiate eligibility for every academic year they participate in organized competition. Now, that's the two big words right there, organized competition. Now, that rule has no exceptions, even for someone serving in the military like Rhodes. And the NCAA did respond last night after this whole story blew up on Twitter, saying they've done an initial review of this situation and no final decision has been made. Ashley?
Okay. Well, listen, that just sounds, in light of what's going on, cray-cray. Sorry for the the vernacular, but Andy Scholes, thank you for that. I think I understand what the spirit of this thing is. I just think it's being inappropriately adjudicated. Andy, thank you for that. And by the way, joining me live now from Murfreesboro, Tennessee, is Stephen Rhodes. Stephen, welcome to the program, and thank you so much for joining us. First and foremost, thank you, sir, for your service to this country. That should be first and foremost in everybody's discussion when it comes to you. But last night, the NCAA tweeted out a decision, or that their decision isn't final. That sounds like good news, but I don't know how good it is. Do you know anything more today?
I don't actually. I haven't heard anything else about it other than them just saying that they're looking more into it.
So looking more into it, I mean, do you have representatives? I'm guessing that your college really wants you to play and really sees that this is sort of a misapplication of rules that are legitimate rules. I mean, you don't want people taking out a couple of years after school to get tough in the game and then all of a sudden join a bunch of freshmen the next year. But you're a different case. Are you getting help and trying to sort of get there?
Yes. MTSU is helping me out a lot. Our compliance department with Daryl Simpson has been working on this a lot, and things are looking hopeful.
So tell me a little bit about what you did on base, like what kind of games that you played and how serious this recreational football was.
It was basically, you know, it was just like an intramural league. You know, whenever we had time, you know, we could play. If we didn't, and, you know, our workload didn't permit, then we couldn't play. But it was just something to take out a little stress and to build camaraderie between troops and give us some physical fitness. That's about it.
Were they good players? I mean, I think I read somewhere that they were everywhere between 18 to 40, and God forbid someone, you know, aged 40 would be on the field. But what was the caliber of the players you were with?
They were good players. I mean, they were good, talented players, you know, here and there. But as a whole, it wasn't on a competitive level.
And so the issue is that you had referees, you kept score, and you wore uniforms. Is that accurate? Is that pretty much what this all comes down to? That puts you into this actual NCAA bylaw?
Yes, that's correct. It's just because we had uniforms or officials.
Officials? Oh, really? Not quite the rest that you'd be used to. Oh, you're so gentle with your words, Stephen. Just real quickly, have you got a lot of people backing you on this one? Have you got a lot of people who are out to get you to get? I mean, look, you're one of our heroes. You served our country. I can only imagine you've got thousands and thousands of supporters. And then on the other side of the coin, anybody who says stick to the guns. It's rules is rules.
Well, you know, I just keep hoping and praying and believing that everything will work out. You know, my faith is in the Lord, so I know that everything will work out. MTSU is behind me 100%, and they're working day and night trying to get this solved. So I believe everything will work out in our favor.
Yeah, I believe you shouldn't be penalized for serving this country. That's just my opinion, but I'm sticking to it. And I started this interview by saying thank you, Stephen Rhodes, for your service. And I'm going to close this interview with you saying thank you, Stephen Rhodes, for your service to this country every minute of those 5 years. Once a Marine, always a Marine. And Semper Fi, young man.
Bye. Thank you for having me.
You keep us posted, Stephen. Joining me now to talk a little bit more about this and the machinations of it, our legal panel, Paul Callan and Mark NeJame. You know, this is the most obnoxious thing. I get it. I get that there have to be rules. But don't you have to look at these particular cases separately, or is that just too bulky of a process, Mark?
Well, the NCAA has been full of controversy for the last couple of years. My firm was recently against them on a case, and we just shrug our shoulders and shake our head in disbelief. Look, they've got unintentionally an act, I'll call it the Anti-Patriot Act, that simply it punishes our service people. That's all that's happened. This young man can't get a scholarship, is being penalized for having been in the service and playing ball unprofessionally. So they need to fix it. It's just that simple. They shouldn't have this kind of controversy. They should understand what this really means and the message it's sending. They have a chance to dig themselves out of a hole, and they should do it rather than punishing this young man who, when you look at him, you're just beaming. He served our country. He's getting a scholarship, and he wants to go ahead and get into something that allows him to move forward in life.
Yeah, we should be thanking him, not making him sit out. So, Paul Callan, far be it from me to understand how the NCAA works or unwinds some of its work, but as I get it, it's not that easy to change these bylaws. But is it easy to seek relief in some way?
Well, I think it is, because you don't have to change the bylaw here. This rule 14.2.3 wasn't intended to apply to the U.S. Marine Corps.
Did you seriously just quote this rule by number? You actually
NCAA,
are you just the biggest nerd I have ever come across in law?
I'm sorry. I was on the debate team in high school. It's really embarrassing.
So was I, but I can't quote the number of the bylaw.
But in any event, that rule doesn't say, A, that it applies to the Marine Corps. And the Marines, when they're training you, they're going to use organized activities to make sure that our soldiers act together in an organized way. And I think if I were arguing this, I would say that's not really a league. That's very, very different from something that you would be doing in the outside world. It's related to military training, and the rule should not apply.
Okay, so just quickly, and I'm going to throw this out there because obviously this is going to be adjudicated in some way, and there will be those who say rules are rules. They're written this way. He falls into those three categories, and they're pretty specific. Uniforms. I said refs, but I think he said officials in some way. And then what was I said? Uniforms, refs, and what was the third thing? Can't remember.
No.
I feel like Rick Perry.
You throw guns
I feel
into
like
it,
Rick Perry.
Win, all right? So.
Oops. Keeping score.
Yes.
Thank you, Christina, our EP, for keeping me honest. So those are the rules. I mean, it's a little frustrating, but if rules are rules, can you make these exceptions?
To sound like a lawyer, that's very overly vague and ambiguous. You could create a whole bunch of scenarios that would fit into that. That would exclude a whole range of people, simply because it got under their radar because he was in the military and doing this, just having fun, really. While he's serving our country. No, they're simply being a little bit too strict, too stringent.
Yeah, you know
I was going to use another word, and I'll leave that one alone.
Should anyone think
that starts with A.
Oh. Should anyone think that he had an unfair advantage? Apparently, they went like sometimes 6 weeks between games, so it wasn't as though he was getting regular drilling.
They found a way to leave Jerry Sandusky at Penn State for all those years. They can find a way to let Rhodes get eligibility. Okay, that's what I say to the NCAA.
Paul Callan, I love that you're a nerd because nothing gets by you. Paul Callan and Mark NeJame, debate team.
You better take back that nerd thing, because I will get so much harassment because of this.
It's going to be part of your graphic superimposed. Paul Callan, total nerd. Stay with us, you guys. I got a couple of other things I want you to weigh in a moment. Not the least of which is this one, because for months I know you and many of your fellow Americans, and actually people all around the world, tuned into that Jodi Arias murder trial like it was a soap opera. She was convicted of brutally slaughtering her boyfriend, Travis Alexander, and everybody hung on every one of these sordid details. And now as she waits to learn her fate, because it ain't over yet, our Jane Velez-Mitchell has unearthed new details never before released, and some of them are really astounding. She's going to join me next and tell you what they are.